Alrighty, welcome back everyone. It is LaughNgamez here. I'm back with another Starcraft 2 1 versus 1 bot AI cast. And we have got ourselves what should be a good one here today, as it's none other than Eris, the Zerg King, going to be taking on DominionDog. Very good and exciting to watch Terran bot. It kind of rose up in the scene last year around the holidays. Last year. It's one of those things. It's like, okay, what is it? When you talk to someone, is it next week? Is it this week? Is it anyway? And yes, DominionDog. The only point I'm making is that it kind of came around, rose up very high on the ladder, and then it didn't get too many updates after that, so it's kind of in an interesting place. But yeah, we're gonna see how it does against Eris here today. Eris, a very good Zerg bot, but DominionDog's sort of fast expanding style almost can keep pace with Eris, so we'll see what strategy it's gonna bring out here today. And so, ladies and gentlemen, before we get too far into this one, as always, make sure to go ahead, click that like button if you haven't already. We can get 1 like for every milliliter of coffee I'm going to drink during this cast. That would be fantastic. Leave a comment down below saying more bots if you want to see more of these bot matches. And then subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. We've got DominionDog going for its scout. And yeah, Reaper is on the way. That's one of the things that's my favorite thing about DominionDog. I think just how many Reapers it sometimes builds. It doesn't always go mass Reapers, but when it does, it is very, very fiery. Now we've got DominionDog saying scouting normal, Zerg early air, which I guess just means that it's going to be going for early air. And then we do have that command center on the way, factory on the way. As Eris is getting up its own third, the Reaper does come in for DominionDog. 2 Lings are out though to start chasing it away. The Reaper is kiting against those Lings. And then it doesn't actually go for the kill. It just finds that third hatchery and is going to park on there. For now, a queen is coming forward, though, to push that away. Another Ling comes on out, but so far, no kills by that Reaper, just doing its job, getting its scouting information. And then we have a command center turning into an orbital command for DominionDog. And then just going for reactor on this factory. So going into Hellions behind this. Some bots do have the programming in which they can dive in with their Hellions, which is very impressive. That Reaper almost gets that drone, but not quite. Yes, so we'll see if that's something that DominionDog may be building towards or not, as that is something that is very high cost, high reward potential for both human games and bot games. This Reaper does find another drone. It has yet to kill one, though, as the queens do respond. So, like DominionDog, it's got good Reaper usage, but it doesn't have any crazy targeting logic or anything like that. It's very, very simple, but effective. As like that Reaper has yet to die. It just takes damage, pulls back, goes back in. Hellions are now out, showing themselves for DominionDog. Those are going to cross the map here, as we'll see if they're going to dive in or just skirmish potentially. Eris does only have queens to defend presently. Looks like that one Reaper is distracting these queens a little bit. Queens are coming down to put up some creep tumors. The Hellions for DominionDog, they are indeed programmed to go in there and get some drones, and that's exactly what they're going to do. However, the drones for Eris do quite a good job of escaping. The Hellions, though, for DominionDog are definitely programmed just to go after those drones. We see them ignoring running away from the opponent's threats while hunting down those drones. Unfortunately, the drones do actually turn and fight and help pick off those Hellions. So that is incredible programming by Eris, to have the drones actually say, like, no, you know, I can help in this situation and fight, instead of just running, because that would be the first logic you program in, to have the drones just get on out of there, to stay away from a threat. Now Eris is going for a bit of Ling harassment at the third of DominionDog. There's one Hellion, one Marine to respond to this. Our Raven's coming on in too. However, the Raven is out of energy. Meanwhile, an Overlord is getting locked on. DominionDog wants to get up a fourth base. So far, Eris is doing a good job shutting that down. Expanding on location is another thing that is very high risk, high reward. That seems to be the trend of this game. Hellions are coming on in to help respond and shut down these Lings. One Ling is taken out before it can shut down that expansion. Meanwhile, there is a burrowed Ling that does get taken out, so good usage of the Raven by DominionDog. Eris, though, is just constantly flooding Lings in towards this third base. It really recognizes when there is a potential base for it to shut down, and it's doing a great job of that. DominionDog wants to start up that fourth command center. That's just how quickly it likes to expand, but so far Eris is really doing well in shutting that down. It does seem that Eris has abandoned that sort of Ling flood or that Ling harassment that it was going for. Queen walks forward right into a Banshee, and Overseer comes to help identify that, but then the Overseer gets picked off, so now the Queens are in a little bit of trouble. However, another Overseer does come forward to help with this. Cyclones on the ground are getting pushed back, but DominionDog is building up a fairly nice army. It does get that fourth base on the way, and like, if you look at the timings for this, DominionDog was trying to build its fourth base well before Eris. Like, Eris denied this probably for like a solid 60 seconds, so if it hadn't got that denial, DominionDog would have a very significant lead on its fourth base. Instead, it's just about slightly ahead of the fourth of Eris. Now, let's see here. We do have Banshees on the way for DominionDog, getting up an extra starport. Overseer going to get locked on and potentially killed as it's running for its life. Changelings getting targeted down too. So that Overseer does indeed die. Banshees and Cyclones pushing on the front. Eris does have Lings out. It's now getting into Hydralisk as well, which are a very well-rounded unit for fighting mech. Another Overseer looks like it will indeed be potentially going down. Does get out of there, so lucky Overseer for now. Eris, meanwhile, just making Hydras, getting out more drones. 1-1 upgrades on the way, although DominionDog does have 1-1 for itself on the way. And so both these bots are on very good economies, and that's one of the cool things about DominionDog. It can match the economy of Eris a lot of the time. As the Terran bot does get a fifth base on location, Hellions are assigned towards this fifth base. Very cool to prevent just an odd Ling denying that, which is quite neat. Cyclones getting their lock-ons, and they are doing some work with the Banshees supporting them. They do want to stay safe from those threats, though, but Eris not moving forward at all yet. The Terran just getting up more starports now, producing more Banshees. There may be a bit of a scary window in which DominionDog doesn't have that many Banshees, but Eris is like at quite a high Hydra Ling count. And I know that Banshees aren't the best against Hydras, but if DominionDog can say get up, oh, I don't know, like 10 plus Banshees, then it may be able to take on the Hydras with support from its ground units. But if not, it might be a little bit more risky when Eris comes in for an attack. And I say when, because Eris is a bot that always attacks its 27 supply from hitting that maxed out mark, and that'll only take another minute for it to hit, and then it will probably be coming towards DominionDog. Another Ling running on in randomly. DominionDog does have this fifth base getting established. I do like how DominionDog gets away with building orbitals at all its bases. It's a very unique thing. Lots of Terran bots just build planetary fortresses. But DominionDog wants that economy. Banshees do find a Queen out on the map, so that's a hard time for that Queen. Vikings killing off Overseers, so the Banshees can thrive. Cyclones getting lock-ons and are being pushed back. DominionDog has a 6th command center on the way during this, so keeping pace or even being ahead of Eris as far as the expansion timings go. There is lots of changelings running around for Eris, and this base has been identified, so we'll see if it's going to be the next location attack. DominionDog is still building up more of an army. The Terran bot actually does have a bit of a mineral and gas surplus, but it's looking to fix that by building 2 additional starports presently. And DominionDog isn't that far away from maxing out for itself. Now, Banshees are working away on these Hydras. There is an Infestor, and it does land a Fungal, though, which is very problematic as many Banshees go down there. So Eris's Fungal growths really countering what the Terran has. This Hydra ball is moving forward. Auto turrets getting added on or thrown on down. Hellbats are fighting with these Hydras. A couple Banshees picking some of them off. There is quite a large group of Hydras, though, still on the front lines. Lots of Overseers there to support them. And now Lings are coming on in as well. So we'll see whether DominionDog can clean this up or not and keep its economy going. I mean, it did get up that 6th base. It's got a 7th base on the way during this. So it looks like DominionDog will be able to hold on for now. However, it is down in supply, so it does need to be careful not to lose any units that it can avoid, as every unit really matters here for DominionDog. We've got 1 Ling harassing at this base. That's a nuisance. Presumably a Hellion is going to be assigned to try and clean that up. Meanwhile, there's Mutas flying around, causing problems too. This 7th base has been delayed, and then DominionDog is out on the map cleaning up creep. Eris still has this 1 Ling kind of doing work. However, it's bouncing between the 2 targets there. And now DominionDog is taking the fight to Eris. This is a little bit risky, seeing as how it's not maxed out yet. Vipers abduct some of these units. Hellbats are cutting up lots of these units too. And then, let's see, Banshee's picking off some Hydras, but DominionDog kind of just trading out. Resources lost is fairly even, although the Terran bot is definitely taking blows to its economy with this 7th base being delayed, the 6th base now being worked on. There's a random Dropper Lord Queen causing problems here. And then, let's see here, as there is indeed Ravens still flying around. Eris does maintain this maxed out force, though, as the Zerg is coming on in. Killed off the 7th base, I think it was, now going for what I think is the 5th base of DominionDog. DominionDog fortunately does have more bases, but it just never seems to have hit this critical max out. If it had maxed out, maybe it would have stood a chance. Instead, it went for an attack and bled off supply. Now, the Terran bot is in quite a bit of trouble. Like, still not taking the worst trades in the world with these Hellbats and Banshees against the squishy Hydralisks. But then Eris's Spellcasters are certainly causing problems for this. DominionDog is producing more Banshees, more Ravens too. And I mean, like, it's trading out non-stop, but Eris does have all the bases in the world. It hasn't really been harassed very much. Who knows, maybe some Hellion harassment would do DominionDog well in a situation like this, as these Mutas are still flying around, helping threaten the Banshees a little bit. Eris does come on in. We do have the Banshees trying to take on these Hydras, and I mean, yeah, they're trading out reasonably well. Like, it's 21,000 resources lost to 19,000, which isn't terrible when you consider the compositions, but just having lost that base or two, and then just not being able to remax out. It seems DominionDog is on a slow death spiral here, as Eris is just coming forward. The Infestors and Vipers in the back, looking to get any pickoffs they potentially can. And yeah, I think it's safe to say that Eris probably is going to take this one. Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned though, as we are going to have a little micro battle at the end of this cast, as I think those are something that's certainly fun to do. And yeah, it's not too surprising that Eris does win these games more often than not, as DominionDog hasn't been updated in a while. I mean, we watched DominionDog play. There's like no glaring obvious mistakes. The one thing that I can really, I think, criticize a little bit is just that when it decided to move out and attack, when it wasn't maxed out but its opponent was. That's kind of a non-starter. Maybe a bit more harassment for DominionDog, But anyway, we'll see if it does get an update in the future as we watch Eris clean everything up. I think watching Eris play against DominionDog, you can kind of see some of the work that may have been done to kind of counter DominionDog a little bit. As like the spellcaster usage against the Banshees is great. And then, yeah. Let's see here. Hydras and Roaches doing their thing. Pushing up the ramp. Yeah, so I'll go ahead and load us on into this micro battle once all these buildings are shot down. Hydras are pretty speedy at doing that, though. Oh. The command center alive in the corner, just barely. So we'll have to wait for a Corruptor or something, or Mutas to show up. There we go, Mutas are going to get the job done. This isn't something that DominionDog does intentionally. It just lifts its buildings to keep them alive, and then it just happened to be pushed into the corner. GG. Alright, so we are going to be having a Terran versus Zerg for this one. Marines versus Lings, the classic battle. No upgrades on either side, as the Marines are just kiting back for Micro Cannonana. Yes, you heard that right. The Zerg bot having, I guess, a micro mode that plays Terran. Looks like the Marines do a pretty good job kiting against those Lings and dispatching them, as Marines, if microed properly, in theory, can just kill pretty much any amount of Lings. You want the ones that are being chased to pull back, whereas the ones that aren't to just be shooting as much as possible. And it looks like that is working out pretty darn well for Micro Cannonana. Able to kill off all 27 of those Zerglings. 27, a very odd number of Lings, literally. Now this time it's going to be Marines versus Roaches, so this could be a little different. No upgrades on either side. However, Marines with perfect micro do really benefit against Roaches, as, yeah, I mean, the Roaches do actually take a fair bit of damage, and they are splitting up right now, which means the Marines kind of are dividing and conquering. Only 3 Marines remaining. This one Roach is running for some reason. Don't be a coward. But alas, the Roach was a coward. Who knows? It probably could have killed off that one injured Marine at least. So let's see. Maybe this one will turn around for Oops here. Micro Cannonana does seem to have some pretty good Marine micros so far, though, as they are just kiting back against these Roaches. Slow Roaches against Marines. They are not exactly the quickest to run them down. 2 of these Roaches are still at full HP, though, so this one is turning around for Oops, it seems, as there is only 1 Marine remaining for Micro Cannonana, so Oops does turn it around. Is this the start of a comeback, as now we've got Lings and Queens against just Marauders on creep. So the Queens are a threat. However, the Marauders will take the most damage from the Lings, so they are just running away as quickly as possible, targeting down the Lings as well. It's very good to see the Marauders aren't just shooting different Lings all the time. They are indeed shooting the ones that, well, are injured or being targeted by the other Marauders. So that's very good logic by Micro Cannonana. There's the Transfuse causing problems, though, as these Queens have got lots of gas left in the tank. They deal basically no damage to Marauders, and they actually have less range than Marauders. These Marauders can kite them basically forever, in theory. And that's actually working out pretty darn well for these Marauders here, as the Queens are just in pursuit. But yeah, we see Transfuses being used, but then like the Queens rarely get in range of these Marauders, whereas the Marauders are getting shots off for free. The Queens, keep in mind, are rebuilding energy during this, so there's actually going to be another 2 Transfuses available. The Marauders are kind of dilly-dallying a little bit too much here, and so this is more of a marathon than anything, but we are just about out of time actually for this round, so the Marauders took too long, and the round is declared a tie. I did not expect that one. We'll see if this one's going to be any different here, as Marauders are kiting back against the Queens, but the Lings need to be dispatched first. And they are doing just that, retreating away. 3 pinned to the north, 1 to the south. I believe that's what happened last time. Over this one's taking quite a bit of damage this time, so it does already seem to be looking better for the Zerg. A Marauder comes from the back to start working away on one of the queens, but now it's 3v2, so this is marginally better for the blue Terran. And it looks like the injured Marauder does get further behind, so it will take less damage, and the queens have actually been kind of separated from each other, so they're not going to transfuse this time, and it looks like the Marauders have found the recipe to kill the queens, at least in this battle. Very, very close one, though. And let's see how this goes. We've now got Reapers against mass Lings, 27 Lings against 10 Reapers. If the Reapers micro back, I think they should be able to take this one, as the Lings do section off to pick off one Reaper, but that gives lots of time for the others to just fire away. And now there's not that many Lings left trying to corner the Reapers. Yeah, I think this should be just fine. One Ling is running away. It's kind of funny how you get some of the Zerg units attacking, some of them running. Just little engagements there, but Micro Cannon Anna is doing quite well for itself, as the Reapers are kiting back against the Lings once again. It's just a human might lose this battle, but a machine that splits its Reapers up well enough, probably not, as the Lings, like, they just probably need to split up a little more to try and get on the Reapers. Instead, we have situations where there's like 20 Lings chasing one Reaper, when in reality only 1 or 2 Lings is going to get shots off. So maybe like 10 groups of 10 Lings, or split the 27 into groups of 9 or something like that. Anyway, Banelings this time rolling forward against those Marines. They actually do get some pretty solid connections, so the Terran did not quite position its army appropriately. Now it's 13 Lings, 4 Banelings against 2 Marauders, 4 Marines. I think the Lings should take that one, as the Baneling did get a connection down there. This one's rolling forward, does actually hit some of the Marines. That's quite important, as Oops will take this one. Alright, so Banelings and Lings rolling forward. Once again, the Marines are in the front. Lings getting on top of the Marauders is a big deal. Those Marines do all of a sudden get saved as the Banelings elect to go a different way, maybe looking for a juicier target, and they do actually find it, which is quite nice. Now, there isn't that many Lings left this time, though, and there is quite a bit of Terran. The Marauder is the target being injured, but yes, the Terran will actually take it this time. Micro Cannon Anna's Terran does look pretty darn formidable.